I made two videos from last week's classes, from different classes, that I'm going to make available to all the students so that you can follow along if you'd like to practice outside of class. So just settling into Shavasana, just to do a quick check-in, noticing how you feel this morning after the long weekend. Those of you who didn't have class yesterday, settling into another semi-weird week in college. And just noticing how you feel. Noticing your overall energy. Noticing how your body feels. So scanning your body from the toes upward. And noting any areas that feel good, any that may feel tight or tense. Just kind of putting a pin in that for a moment. And focus now on the breath. So shifting the focus, leaving the body for a moment, and going right to the breath. And just notice immediately where you're breathing. Where does your focus go? Where do you notice the breath? The nose, the chest, the abdomen. And then place your right hand on your navel. So take your right hand, place it on your belly button. Take the left hand and place it in the middle of the chest on the sternum. Relax your shoulders. And now begin to practice abdominal breathing, directing the breath from the nose to the navel. Feel the right hand rise on the in-breath, fall on the out-breath. The left hand and the chest remain completely still. So continue in this way for a moment or two. Visualizing the breath coming in through the nose and directing it into the lowest part of the lungs. This is diaphragmatic breathing. We're activating the movement of the diaphragm by using the lower lobes of the lungs, pressing down on the diaphragm, flattening it out, and pushing the abdominal muscles out, distending the abdomen. And on the exhalation, the diaphragm moving back into the dome shape that it is as the hand falls. Continuing in this way without strain and with no movement in the left hand at this point. Focusing solely on the rise and fall of the right hand. Breathing deeply and fully with awareness. On your next exhalation, discontinue abdominal breathing. And focus the attention now on your left hand, the hand that's on the chest. And now begin to direct the breath from the nose into the left hand. The right hand's going to stay completely still, and you're going to try to breathe only into the middle lobes of the lungs, feeling a slight expansion and contraction in the chest. For those of you that usually breathe more deeply, this is going to be more difficult. For those of you that often breathe this way, just due to the way you breathe and maybe being stressed out, this might feel more normal. Just notice whatever it is. Focusing the breath now and the awareness on the left hand. So expanding the chest on the in-breath, feeling the ribs pull away. And on the out-breath, the ribs come together, the left hand falls slightly. There should be no strain, and if possible, no movement in the right hand. Just a slight rise of the left hand with each breath. If you're having trouble staying with the practice, you can visualize it. You can focus on the feeling of it, the connection between your hand and your chest. Take 3 more breaths into the thoracic cavity and then bring your hands back into Shavasana when you're finished. And just let the breath return to normal. And notice the effects of that short pranayama practice on how you're breathing. Also notice any effects on the body or the mind. When we breathe consciously, we are in touch with part of the limbic system, which is to do with memories, emotions, and it's intricately connected to the autonomic nervous system. So with conscious breathing, you're activating the rest and digest. So you should feel calmer. There may be less thoughts going through your head. Just notice the effects. And then bring the awareness back to your body from the breath and from the body to the floor beneath you. And then move in whatever way that feels good to you. Slowly roll to one side and come up to a seated position. So good morning, sunshines. All right, so coming into the base position, we have a new practice plan today. There's some things that we have done already, and then there'll be some things that'll be different. The one thing that we've done consistently is the toe bending, and we're going to be doing that again today. So I encourage you to see if you can sit up unassisted. We won't, well, that's not true. We'll be here for a little bit. So if you need to bring your hands back, by all means do. Otherwise, see if you can sit here with your hands on your thighs, lifting your spine up through the crown of your head, bringing your awareness to your toes. We're just going to be doing 7 today, 7 repetitions. So inhale, bring the toes back. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale the toes back. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale back. Exhale, squeeze. So working on developing this ability to perhaps breathe in and out through the nose. If that's not something you normally do, that's going to take a little bit more awareness. Staying connected to what you're doing. And then feeling any effects of the movement. Once you get to 7, stop, relax, feel your toes, feel your ankles, anything that's connected to the toes. And then we're moving into some rotations. So we've got knee rotations. So grab your right leg. And, you know, depending on your flexibility, like some of you are just going to want to do this. See, I'm rounding. See if you can sit up, pull your shoulders down. So you're lifting up. So you're just going to take 5 because we don't have a lot of time today. I want to make sure I get through everything. So just 5 rotations in each direction. So my foot's not moving. Maybe do 7. Go ahead, do 7. We have time. So 7 in each direction. The foot stays relaxed, and the knee is the only thing that's rotating. So we're really trying to lubricate the knee joint. So those of you who have any knee problems, this is but this is super simple, lying down in your bed before you get out of your bed, putting the full weight of your body onto your knees. When you're finished with 7 in both directions, bring your knee to your chest, stretch your leg out, feel from the right knee to the left, and then go to the second side. So again, sitting up nice and tall. Some of you don't have your videos on, and I can't see your handsome and beautiful faces. So if you could do that, unless there's some compelling reason you don't have it on, and then send me a note about that. So 7 times in each direction. Using these simple movements, relatively simple movements, to be connected. Those of you who are on the call at the beginning, there is a quote from, I believe, from Thich Nhat Hanh about present moment awareness, just how we spend all this time moving toward a degree, getting this, getting that, but we don't spend enough time in the present moment, which is really the only moment there is. So just feeling through both knees, using these simple movements to connect to your body. And then moving on to hip rotations. So with hip rotations, you're going to start with your right side. I'm using my left to mirror you, I believe. So grab hold of your right and cradle your leg. And taking this nice big circles. Your left leg should be extended out in front of you. Now again, these are, and I think it's next week or the following week, I think week 5 and 6. We do these lying down. We do an entire class lying down. So you can always do these things lying down. If sitting up is like killing you, you're in your own house. Do what you want. Okay, there's no one really is paying attention to you, I don't think. So, other than me. So go the other way after you reach 7, focusing on the hip, gently introducing movement into that, what is normally a tight area, getting the energy moving, bringing the knee into your chest, straightening your leg out, feeling through your right compared to your left, moving on to the second side when you're ready, and cradling your legs, sitting up nice and tall, extending the toes upward of the outgoing leg. A nice range of motion, 7 times in each direction, and I'm watching you, so just continue. So 7 rotations in each direction, bringing the knee into the chest, in between. And then for the next ones, you can continue to have the legs outstretched if that's comfortable for you, but you may want to cross your legs, it's just easier. And the next one is going to be elbow rotations. Okay, so we did some simple elbow bending last week, I believe last week. This is elbow rotations. You're going to hold your arm up, hold your upper arm up, and then with your hand being relaxed, just rotate the elbow 7 times. Again, I mentioned with the elbow bending, this was not something that I always would skip these because I'm like, why do I need to do this? It seems so stupid. Until, of course, I hurt my elbow. So 7 times in each direction, trying to keep the movement just in the elbow. Notice if your wrist's doing this. Notice if your whole body's moving around, trying to hold the arm still, the upper arm still. It's kind of hard for the wrist not to flip around a little bit. Those of you who are athletes and have to use your arms to lift, to throw, these are probably something that you might want to incorporate. And once you finish with the right side, feeling through the right elbow, the arm, and then moving to the left 7 times. So a lot of these things, you know, like this one, there's a good chance that this may be the only week we do this one. But when you go into the Orange Book, otherwise known as Asana, Pranayama, Mudra Bandha, you will know that this is, you can find this one if you start to have issues with your elbows. Or if you know that someone that in your family that does, you can say, hey, there's these really awesome joint mobility movements that I've learned in my yoga class. Here, this is one of them. Do this for your elbow. Okay. So feeling through both elbows. And then moving into the shoulder socket rotation. This one we do quite frequently, especially in the first half of the course because we're so tight. And we really want to work on loosening up that tightness in the shoulders and the chest. So please place your hands on your shoulders. Taking a breath in. On the exhalation, pull the shoulders away from your ears. And then inhale, bring the elbows together. Exhale, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Inhale, come up. Exhale, squeeze. 5 more times. And once you finish 7 in this direction, pause for a moment. And then moving in the opposite direction, squeezing the shoulder blades together, bringing the elbows behind. Exhale, trying to touch the elbows, but more importantly, trying to bring the elbows behind you so you can open up the chest. So 7 in the opposite direction as well. Moving with awareness, connecting the movement to the breath if you can, or the breath to the movement. And then releasing the arms down and feeling through your chest, feeling through your shoulders. And just recognizing that if throughout the week, if you feel tension in your neck, and have you chosen to do this, now you have this tool. You're just going to talk about how much your neck hurts, or you're going to try to employ some of these tools, okay? And then neck movements. Oh, actually, no, wrist movements. So we're going to do wrist rotation. So go ahead and bring your arms out. Pull your shoulder blades into their sockets, dropping your elbows or dropping your shoulders away from your ears. Tuck your thumbs in. Just 7 times, simple 7 rotations. Sitting up nice and tall, crown of the head moving toward the ceiling. Relaxing the arms down, feeling through the wrists and the fingertips after those simple movements. And then moving on to the neck movements. So we've done up and down, we've done ear to shoulder. I don't know if we've done over the shoulder. So we're gonna do 2 of them today. We're gonna do ear to shoulder and then over the shoulder. So starting with ear to shoulder, taking a breath in, exhaling your right ear towards your right shoulder. Inhaling to the center, exhaling left ear to the left shoulder. Let's do 7 on each side. This is where, if it's appropriate, you can, if you haven't already, closing the eyes, appreciating that gentle stretch on the side of the neck, recognizing any imbalance. Continuing for a total of 7. Bringing your head to the center when you're finished, but take your time. Moving with the breath, exhaling as the ear goes toward the shoulder, inhaling up, exhaling the opposite way, ear toward the other shoulder. And then moving into the second series by looking over the shoulder. So inhaling, turning the head, chin stays parallel, looking as far over your shoulder that you can without moving the shoulder, without dropping the chin, keeping the chin parallel. Again, noting any imbalance. And about 4 more for a total of 7. And then when you're finished with that one, stretching your legs out for a moment if they're cross-legged and just feeling your body going back down to the toes, the knees, the hips, the chest, the wrists, the neck. Noting any changes in your energy. And then moving on to your abdomen. So we're going to be moving into the crocodile pose again. We did that one last week. And so coming onto your belly. If you can, bringing your big toes together. Forearms together. The head rests in your hands. And at any time, we're just going to hold this for just about 1.5 minutes. You can always come down to your fists or to the back of your hands. And the focus is on the abdomen. So focusing the breath on the abdomen, maybe on the low back, if that's what you feel. So if that's where you feel the discomfort or the extra stretch, the eyes are lightly closed or they're downturned at a spot in front of you or on your nose tip. And you're focusing on that pressure in the abdominal region. You may feel the pressure of your navel moving toward the mat, or you might feel the expansion in the low back. And just know that if there's not acute discomfort, that with every breath, you're releasing those tensions. We have a lot of tension in the low back because of the tight hips and tight hamstrings, weak abdomen, tight glutes, all of that. So just know that this simple posture can help gently realign the spine. Another 1/2 minute or so. Again, if you need to adjust, coming down to your fists, but continuing, focusing on the breath at the navel, the low back. On your next exhalation, go ahead and release your posture. So bringing your arms out, extending them out in front of you, resting your head on the mat. Just feeling the effects of that gentle back bend on the low back. And then placing the hands underneath the shoulders. Pressing up and coming into table position. So we're going to move into the cat-cow, which is one that we've been doing now since the beginning. So placing your hands underneath your shoulders, directly underneath your shoulders. Knees are directly underneath your hips, about a fist distance apart. Spread your fingertips out and grab the ground to support your wrists. Take a breath in. The tailbone goes up with the head. Exhale, round your back, pull your belly button up toward the spine, look back at your knees. Inhale, slight bend in the elbows as the chest melts through the shoulders. Exhale, pull the belly button up toward the spine as you round out your back, or round out your belly, rounding your back. Inhaling deeply through the nose, arching the back. Exhale, round the back, tucking the tailbone as you look back towards your knees. Please do 4 more like this for a total of 7. moving with the breath, feeling the gentle extension and flexion of the spine. And when you reach 7, please press your hips back for a moment. You can take the knees out wide, stretching the arms, just coming into a brief child's pose. And then we're moving into mountain pose or downward facing dog. So we're going to be doing it dynamically, but I do want to remind you, and I believe I showed you this, and if I didn't, I apologize, is that you have an option. You can always go against a wall. This is a really great way to get a lot of the flexibility benefits without putting so much pressure on your wrists. So you have, if you take your hands above you and you stand maybe about 2 feet away from the wall, and you'll get that nice stretch in your shoulders. You'll get a stretch in your hamstrings. You can even bend the knees. You can walk your heels up and down just like you do without having the weight bearing. So you're not going to get necessarily the strength benefits, but if you're working on your flexibility, then that's your focus. Okay, so if you need to stand up, by all means stand up. Otherwise, come into table. We're going to move through this dynamically at first, and then we'll hold for 1 minute. Okay, and when you're holding, I'll give you some options. So it's important that once you're in, just a reminder, and if I was with you, I'd be able to see a little bit better, that once you're in the position, you don't move your hands. So make sure your hands are in the same position, especially when you're holding it. It's okay if you move your feet wide or walk them up and down, but the hands ideally should stay still. So they should be right underneath your shoulders. Please roll your toes under, grab the ground, activate the upper back. Inhale, shoot your hips up to the ceiling. Exhale, press your hips to the wall behind you. Let your head hang between your arms. Inhale, come onto the toes. Exhale, straight back down. Inhale, hips up. Exhale, press back. Inhale onto the toes. Exhale, straight back down. Inhale up. There's a little bend in the elbows. Notice if you're really straightening them. Exhale, press the hips back. Inhale onto the toes, exhale down. Do 4 more like that for a total of 7, and then hold the last one. So inhale the hips up, exhale, press back like someone's pulling your hips. So you're flattening out that back. Good. Heels, getting your heels down is secondary. So if your heels are down and you're feeling like there's nothing happening in your low back or in your mid back, then just keep pressing those hips back. Don't worry so much about getting the heels down. Most of us don't have the hamstring flexibility for that. Keeping a soft bend in the elbows will help from straining the shoulders. It'll take a little bit of the pressure off the wrists. And now most of you should be in your 7th one, so you're in the up position. And we're going to hold this for a minute. So again, keeping your hands in position. So grab the ground. Now, if you're really, really tired, obviously come out of this at any time. But if you want to work on different ways to increase your flexibility in your hamstrings, you can try taking your feet wide if it's really painful. I mean, you could just hang on for dear life and hold this and be still. That's obviously one option. But if it's too much for your hamstrings, walk your heels up and down, taking the feet a little bit wide. My personal favorite is bending the knees into the chest, pressing the hips back. That takes it out of the hamstrings almost altogether. You get a nice stretch in the ankles, but most importantly, you get a nice stretch in the mid back. Continue to hang on for another 20 seconds. Breathing into any of the tightness, knowing that if you're feeling it a lot in the upper body, that you're getting stronger. This is a strength building pose. Now bend your knees slightly and slowly begin to walk your hands towards your feet. And roll up slowly. So imagine you're growing out of the ground. And it's appropriate because we're going to do tree pose. Okay, so you're growing up out of the ground like a tree. Okay. So tree pose is one of the beginning balance poses that we do in this class. And it works on your physical balance, but can also work on your energetic balance. Okay. So most of us at this time of the day are kind of tired. So, and a lot of us have our balance, or I should say, our strong side is often our right side. So just for today, start on your right side because this is also our energetic side. This side kind of gets us going. It's our sun side, it's our masculine energy. And this side, when we start on our right side, it's associated with that energy passageway that is associated with masculinity, the sun, and it often will wake us up. So shifting your weight to your right side, find your focal point. Find something to look at eye level or below. And then place your left foot alongside your standing leg. So your hands can be at your heart for now, putting some energy there. Put your foot up. So your knee is perpendicular. Your bent knee is perpendicular. Your belly button's pulled in, so you're activating your core. Some of you may have the flexibility to bring the heel all the way up into the groin. That's the best position for it locks the leg into place. But for some people, it's not something you can do. So you can even put your foot, and as you see I have right now, just like this in a tripod. That's fine, or just having it right here. Keep opening up the knee, keep lifting up on your standing leg and holding. Seeing if you can hold this just for a few more breaths. If you'd like to, you can bring your arms above you, stretching all the way up. I take my hands kind of like this. It's kind of hard to see because I'm off the screen. And stretching up through the fingertips. If your hands are at your heart, put some energy there. Focusing on that spot in front of you. And if you fall out, come all the way out of it and try again. But right now, let this be your last breath in the position. If you've already fallen out of it, just hang on. Feel through the right side compared to the left. And then shift your weight to the other side. Again, placing your foot where it's appropriate for you. Find your focal point. Keep your eye on that spot. It's going to help you. Pull your belly button in. Activate your core. That's going to help your stability. Placing your leg wherever it works for you. Fanning the knee out. Just try not to press right on the knee because pressing right on the knee could have other adverse effects. So foot should be below or above the knee. And if you're standing on carpet like I am, it's not easy to get that solid footing, literally, underneath you. If you'd like to, again, raise your hands up above your head, creating that, like, kind of the pull from the arms going upward and push down through your feet. Keep lifting up on the standing leg. Notice if the hip keeps going out, trying to lift up straight and tall. And then with the grace of a butterfly, bring your hands down to your heart. Come down and just for a moment into a standing base position. And then come into Shavasana for Yoga Nidra. So coming into Shavasana, adjusting your camera so I can see you the best that you can, just so I can keep an eye on you. This is not easy to teach Yoga Nidra over a screen because there's so many cues that are usually given by students, such as heavy breathing, different movements of the body. And when I can see you, that does help with the movements, but I can't hear you. So some of you just might be out like lights and I wouldn't even know. I had mentioned, and I can see that some of you already are doing it, having a blanket covering you. When we practice Yoga Nidra, our body stills. Just like before you fall asleep, your temperature drops. And even though we had been doing some movements, not a lot today, but enough that we probably got the energy flowing. When you lie still in Shavasana, and that's the idea, is that you're trying to lie so still that you don't move for the duration of the practice, you're going to get cold. And you may not feel that you need a blanket initially, and maybe you don't need one today. But as we go through the semester, I highly encourage you to cover yourself, so that's one less distraction. So settling into Shavasana, just like at the beginning, making sure your body is comfortable and symmetrical. Before starting the Yoga Nidra practice, checking in. Noticing how you feel physically after the practice so far, after the breath work we did at the beginning, the asana. Noting any changes. Making any final adjustments, making sure that if you haven't already, take off your glasses, take off your wristwatch, anything that could be a distraction, any extra pressure on your face, so that there isn't anything that's going to pull you away externally. Try to minimize any sensations against the skin. So feel your whole body lying on the floor. Be aware of the whole physical space of your body and your body's position. Be aware of the heels on the floor. Feel the legs in their position, feeling them against the floor. Buttocks on the floor. Feeling the whole of your back. Feel your right shoulder, your left shoulder. And if you need to, you can even pull the shoulder blades together. Sometimes that helps create a little bit of space, lifting the chest slightly. If that feels good, may feel good on your low back. Noting now the position of your arms as well, and your hands. And then of course your head, the nose pointing up toward the ceiling. And that if this is not comfortable, that after today, make the resolution that you will not just suffer through a practice. You will get the blanket and place it underneath your knees or your thighs. When it comes to meditation, regardless of the type, the idea is to be as comfortable, physically as comfortable as possible, so that you can work on the more subtle aspects of the mind. Take 3 deep breaths in and out, allowing any tension to be released. With each exhalation, feeling the muscles relax into the floor beneath you. And the whole body, as well as the mind, preparing for the practice. Feel the contact points between your body and the floor beneath you. And then scan your body front and back and notice anything touching the skin, making an effort to notice where clothing touches the skin, the floor, the mat in the skin, the air in the skin. Mentally picture the room around you, the contents of the room, and your position within it. Now listen for sounds, different sounds. Hearing one sound and then moving to another and another. Listen for the furthest sound away. And then come closer. Listening specifically to sounds coming from you. Digestive noises, perhaps. The heart beating. The soft sound of the natural breath. making a full connection to each breath as it moves in and out. Beginning now with body rotation. A series of body parts will be named. Become aware of each part by feeling it, visualizing it, perhaps mentally repeating the name. But only the awareness moves, the body remains still. Become aware of the right side of the body. Specifically, become aware of the right hand. Right hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger. Palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, right side of the ribs, right side of the waist, hip, thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, heel, instep. Sole of the foot, top of the foot, right big toe, second toe, third, fourth, fifth. Check the awareness, stay with the practice, move to the left side. Become aware of the left hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger. Palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, left side of the ribs, left side of the waist, hip, thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, heel, instep. Sole of the foot, top of the foot, left big toe, second toe, third, fourth, fifth. Check the awareness, move to the top of the head, forehead, right temple, left temple, right eyebrow, left eyebrow, eyebrow center, right eye, left eye, right ear, left ear, right cheek, left cheek, bridge of the nose, tip of the nose, upper lip, lower lip, where the lips come together, right side of the jaw, left side of the jaw, chin, front of the neck, right collarbone, left collarbone, the hollow between, right side of the chest, left side of the chest, center of the chest, upper abdomen, navel, lower abdomen, pelvis. Stay awake, move to the back of the body, right buttock, left buttock, lower back, middle back, upper back, spine, right shoulder blade, left shoulder blade, back of the neck, back of the head, top of the head. Become aware of the whole right leg, the whole left leg, the whole right arm, the whole left arm. Become aware of the torso, neck, head. Become aware of the whole body together, the whole body together, the whole body together. Leaving body rotation, shift the focus to the breath, specifically the breath in the nostrils. Feel the gentle flow of the breath in the nostrils. Feeling the cool air on the in-breath and the warmed air on the out-breath. full focus on each breath as it enters and exits the body through the nose. Keeping the awareness fixed on the breath in the nose, begin to count the breath backward from the number 18 down to the number 1. Inhaling 18 through the nostrils, exhaling 18 through the nostrils. Inhaling 17, exhaling 17, and continuing down to the number 1. Full focus on the breath in the nostrils, counting each and every breath, not letting one breath pass unnoticed, down from the number 18 to 1. Check the awareness, stay with the count. The count is lost or in question, begin again at 18. Stay with the practice, stay with the count and the breath in the nostrils a little while longer. Now let go of the count. Relax all efforts of counting the breath. And shift the attention once again to the sounds around you. Listening to the variety of sounds that are inside and outside of the room. Make a mental picture of the room itself, visualizing as many aspects as possible, the walls, the ceiling, the furniture, the windows, the door, but most importantly, your position in relation to all of that. Imagine that you're up on the ceiling and you can look down and find yourself seeing your body lying in Shavasana perfectly still, seeing the clothing that you've chosen to wear, making a full connection to your body's position in relation to the room. Becoming aware of all of the meeting points between clothing and skin, feeling the texture, the weight against the skin, feeling anything touching the skin, the floor, the mat, the cool air. Shift the awareness to the back of your body. Feeling the full weight of your body against the floor and all of your body's contact points. Bring the awareness now once again to the natural breath. Making a connection to each breath, and then taking active control of the breath by beginning to actively breathe more deeply and more fully. Noticing an expansion in the chest and in the abdomen with each deep breath. And as you continue to breathe deeply and fully, also notice with each breath your regular level of alertness slowly coming back. Remembering what you did before this class today. Could have been just rolling out of bed. Remember some of the aspects or elements of the class. And then most importantly, what do you need to do now that this class, and specifically this practice, is coming to an end? And say to yourself mentally, this practice of Yoga Nidra is now complete. You may begin to move, moving your hands, moving your feet, moving slowly. Maybe rubbing your palms together, placing your warmed palms on your eyes if you're in a light room, and slowly rolling over to one side, coming up to a seated position. And I apologize, I'm about 2 or 3 minutes over. And I noticed, it's funny, I noticed it less in-person classes, maybe because you have your phones closer to you than I can see. But I watched people right at about a minute before 10, I see people start to move. And if you have somewhere to go, by all means, skedaddle. But try to keep that stuff away. So if you've got an alarm that goes off every hour, get rid of it for this class. So you can just, because I won't keep you. I really try to honor your time, but I hate to see you miss out on that last little bit of Yoga Nidra or any of our practices because you're like, oh my gosh, my alarm went off. So just kind of, if you can, silence it. If you have any questions, please stick around. You can always email me. If you're wanting to know more about Yoga Nidra, you can look it up on the Satyam Yoga Prasad. There's lots of information, lots of articles in Blackboard. So I wish you all a wonderful rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you for a full week next week, where we're going to begin Kaya Stereo meditation, which is a seated meditation on Monday. So see ya. Bye.